I told you Everton might actually be favourite for this game.
Yeah, Dave, it's 46 and 46, isn't it? 8th and 7th, Everton and Brentford, both of which could mean European football.
It really could, and I think, the credit to David Moyes. Since matchday 19 in the Premier League, only Arsenal and Man United have picked up more points than Everton. They've won 3 of the last 4. They're in great form. What I love about Everton, I think, is the goals come from everywhere. When you break it down, Dewsbury Hall's got 6 goals, and then Jai 6 goals, Beto 6 goals, and Tieno Barry 6 goals. That was a bit of a concern going into the season. Who's going to put the ball in the back of the net for Everton? It's kind of spread through the side where different players have picked up different form at different times of the season. It's allowed Everton to be this high up in the league, and I'd fully expect them to make it under David Moyes.
The question for Brentford, Mark, was always going to be how reliant are they end up being on goals from Igor Thiago, and I know Keith Andrews was asked about this week, but ultimately if you're a team the size of Brentford, of course you're going to be reliable on somebody like that.
You are. I mean, the chance is created, player making the right runs, getting the right positions, and for Brentford, what you've got is in their number 9 is that you've got a guy that's on red hot form and it's taking his opportunities. Yeah, so it has come down to one player, but I think it's very much a team effort. And I just want to clarify what I said before. I wasn't necessarily talking about the teams being any better at Everton or not. I'm talking about David Moyes being better, right? I just thought about it afterwards. Probably didn't come across exactly how I wanted it to.
No, I think you nailed it. I will just never miss an opportunity to wind Leon Osman up.
You bit there, Mark. You bit at him, and you hooked your line and sinker
He
there.
did, yeah. I just wanted a bit of clarity, that's all.
Mark Schwarzer alongside Ian Dennis for full commentary. 3 o'clock, 5 live. Brentford versus Everton. Back to Arsenal. What a final few minutes this is going to be at the Emirates. Lee Blakeman.
Nervy moments in the race for the Premier League title. Arsenal 1, Bournemouth 2. Alex Scott's goal is the difference as we go into the final 3 minutes. Arsenal have just gone close to an equaliser. Dowman again involved. His cross from the right found Jesus with a header, tipped over by Petrovic. Andy Reid.
I think you're being a bit generous there saying close. I think it was pretty comfortable for the keeper. I actually think Bournemouth are really comfortable in this game. I think they're keeping the shape really well. I think the only way that Arsenal will score will be from a set piece or some kind of ricochet or a ball drop, and I don't think they're carving Bournemouth open at all. They're not really able to find the spaces. Bournemouth really comfortable in the shape, and at this moment in time it doesn't look like Arsenal are going to get back into the game to me.
And that said, Andy, he's made all 5 substitutions, Mikel Arteta, and Arsenal don't really look any better for them.
No, they don't. The substitutes haven't really been able to get into the game, and maybe that's credit to Bournemouth as well. We're just looking at it. Gabriel's gone up front at the moment, so they've got an extra body up there. I think they needed to go more direct than what they have. They've tried to play way too many sideways passes against a team that presses really well. Against a pressing team, you have to play through the lines quicker, and they haven't done that. They needed to go more direct, and it looks like they will do that now with Gyökeres and Gabriel up front for the last few minutes of the game.
Bournemouth 11 Premier League games unbeaten coming into this one. They're about to make it 12. 90 seconds of normal time to go. Arsenal 1, Bournemouth 2.
Dave, I know this is too basic a stat for somebody of your experience and quality, but I've just noticed that because they'll go 9 points clear if they lose this game, and because City play Arsenal next Sunday, it's actually back in City's hands,
big chance for Gabriel, and he's been brought down in the penalty area. Sorry, Steve, he went straight through the centre. Gabriel in behind, and his second touch, Andy, took the ball away from him just a little bit as he went through on goal.
Yeah, it did look like he was in for one set, but it was a brilliant recovery by the defender, who's down injured now at the minute. Can't quite see who it is. He got a lucky ricochet, like we've just been saying there, but the defender gets in. There's a brilliant tackle, and then Gabriel fells him, so referee makes the right decision. Dangerous situation there, comes from a lucky ricochet.
Brilliant from Jimenez with the interception. If I made you jump, Steve, I apologise, I made myself jump. Still 2-1 to Bournemouth.
No, you jump in whenever you need, mate. This is the most important few moments of this Premier League season, possibly. What I was going to say, Dave, is the fact that this puts it back in City's hands. I mean, there'd be 9 points clear, but it would still be for both teams. If they win out from there, it's theirs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing we mentioned before about Manchester City and their attacking lineup looking far more fluid than it has in recent weeks, they've also won some pretty big games against Premier League opponents. They absolutely dismantled Liverpool. And I think one of the concerns from today for Arsenal is they've really struggled, as Andy keeps on speaking about, playing through the Bournemouth press. They've had the ball too deep, too frequently, and if you break down the passes that Arsenal have played today, David Raya in terms of passes so far, 31 in the game completed. Only Declan Rice, Gabriel and William Saliba have played more passes. There's too much possession deep. Arsenal should be going far more direct against this high line, but it's too late.
Bournemouth, by the way, if they go on and complete what would be a fantastic victory for them, they'd move up to 45 points. They'd be 9th in the table. And actually, if you talk about that race for Europe, Brentford is 7th on 46. It's only 6 points down to Newcastle in 13th on 42. Back to the race to get into the Premier League. Coventry City, are they going to do it today? John Bennett.
0-0 against Sheffield Wednesday. Coventry pushing for a winner. They are furious that Sheffield Wednesday are time wasting. A few scuffles on the pitch as a corner is swung in. They're going to have a second corner here. We're into injury time. Coventry 0, Sheffield Wednesday 0.
Straight back to Arsenal, Lee.
Arsenal 1, Bournemouth 2. Arsenal continue to try and push forwards from the midfield, but Bournemouth have all the answers as we complete the first of 5 added minutes at the Emirates. Arsenal 1, Bournemouth 2.
It is rarely, Leon, these few moments that end up deciding title races quite often.
Yeah, and you know, at the moment, 1 point might actually be quite a big point when you come to the end of the season. So even if, you know, it does look like it's too far now for them to win the game, if they just keep pushing, maybe if they get an equaliser, that 1 point might actually end up being the difference, and that's what they've got to hope.
Right, we'll be back there very, very shortly, because clearly it's going to be a very, very dramatic finish. A half-time score for you in the Challenge Cup Rugby League. By the way, this is a quarter-final. Hull KR lead York by 24 points to 6. Warrington Lee is a 5:30 kick-off. It's also a massive afternoon at the top of the Scottish Premiership. Hearts Motherwell and Celtic St Mirren today. Falkirk Rangers tomorrow. Top of the table looks like this. They've all played 32. It's Hearts on 67, Rangers on 66, Celtic on 64. Let's speak to Ailey Barber. I mean, Ailey, every time I think Hearts are going to let it slip here, Hearts might fall off, they come fighting back. But of all the teams up there right now, do Rangers look the most likely champions?
Good afternoon, Steve. And the answer to that question, I have no idea. It is fascinating.
It's like the Grand National, yeah.
Absolutely fascinating. You can make a case and an argument for every single one of the 3 teams in this title race to somehow get it over the line. You can also make a case for why they won't get it over the line. Everyone's looking at Hearts saying they've never been in this position before, certainly not in the last 40 years. So they're looking at that saying, well, they're not going to have the mentality to stay the course. Rangers, people looking at them saying, well, they've been in this position before and they haven't seen it through. Do they have the ability to deal with the pressure? And then look at Celtic. They are the serial winners. They know how to get it over the line, but they're 3 points behind in 3rd place. They're not playing well. They've had problems on the pitch, off the pitch this season. And it is honestly fascinating. And I could not pick a winner of the 3 as we head towards the final day of the season. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it, Steve.
Oh, I mean, there's a lot to enjoy. What's happening at Arsenal, Lee?
2 chances for Gyökeres, Steve. The first, a free header from across from the right, off target, and then he's just been played in again, this time with a shot. Didn't score either. 2 big chances, Andy, and you were left shaking your head.
Yeah, I mean, really poor from Gyökeres. 2 decent chances. I wouldn't say brilliant, 2 decent chances, particularly that second one there where he cut back on his right foot and he just completely miskicked it, and it just dribbles wide. And I don't know, I don't think they'll get a better chance than that, will they? It's all hands to the pump for Bournemouth. Really exciting, but not much quality in the final third for Arsenal.
Less than 90 seconds to go as Gabriel Jesus bursts into the penalty area left side. Ball goes behind. Arsenal will have a corner and Raya will go up, Steve.
Yeah, I think we'd better stay with you for an Arsenal corner. Could mean anything, Lee.
Yeah, good call as Raya goes in at the back post wearing his green shirt. Literally everybody, Andy Reid, is in there. We've got 2 on the edge of the D. Ezza's the furthest player back. It's Rice who's getting ready to send in this in-swinging corner in the 95th minute. Whips it in towards the back post, headed away by Bournemouth. They've been so disciplined. Yeah,
they've defended set pieces brilliantly well today, even to the point where Arsenal have tried to take some short corners, and we've never seen that because they're so dangerous. But the defensive work from Bournemouth, particularly from set pieces today, has been brilliant.
30 seconds to go as Arsenal cut in from the left. Is there one last chance? The referee stopped it for an offside, Andy Reid. That could be it.
Yeah, there can't be much left here, I have to say. It might be a long kick and the ref could blow his whistle.
That is the cue for all the fans to head to the exits here, Dave.
I think one of the interesting sides of this, Arsenal have created some chances, 4 big chances in the game, but they're just not. There's something missing there, and I think it's what we've kind of been speaking about. It's slow out of the back at times for Arsenal. They're not getting the ball to their attackers enough. The stat we had before with Martinelli having 8 touches before he was removed, I think that kind of sums up where Arsenal are right now. They don't look like the side that we saw before under Arteta in terms of that attacking initiative in a sense. Obviously, no Saka today, which is a big problem. And I think, Andy, where do Arsenal go from here?
Well, the point that you made there, you're talking about chances. They've had chances, but they haven't really been creative. So they haven't. There's been lots of ricochets, and the ball drops to somebody, and that's where the chances come from. As the full-time whistle goes, and there's a few boos running around the stadium here, and the fans aren't happy as they flood out. But they haven't been creative at all. The chances they've had have come from balls just launched in there. They've come from set pieces, and they've come from ricochets that have just popped to somebody. So worrying times, you have to say, after this performance, but you have to give Bournemouth credit. They've been incredible today. Really, really good performance from them.
There is the final whistle. A pivotal day in the race for the Premier League title. Arsenal 1, Bournemouth 2. Bournemouth led through Krupi. That was cancelled out before half-time by a Gyökeres penalty. Bournemouth were excellent, kept their discipline, kept their shape, and got the winner on 75. Alex Scott played through down the centre, and he sent Raya the wrong way. He ran away celebrating as Bournemouth go 9th in the Premier League. But Arsenal now, with drop points here ahead of the game against Manchester City next week, leave the title race, Andy Reid, wide open.
Yeah, absolutely does. And going off the back, even the substitutes that Arsenal brought on, and you're thinking to yourself, right, a bit of creativity. Who's going to get hold of the ball? Who's going to be the one to make something happen? Is it going to be Eze? We hardly seen him. Trossard, he tried, but he couldn't really make anything from it. And Delman never really got into the game. Jesus was lively enough when he came on, but didn't have much to go off. So that would be the concerning thing. Lack of creativity, lack of real kind of guile, real probably desire to get into the right areas, but also maybe a lack of game understanding from them today in terms of trying to play too much. Need to sometimes go around the press, go through the press, or go over it. They done neither today. Too many sideways passes, and they paid the price for it.
Lovely little moment there with Alex Scott going off the pitch with his arm round Anthony Iraola, whose future is up in the air. He's applauding the Bournemouth fans. Alex Scott making his point when it comes to England. They were brilliantly on, but obviously people are going to be talking about Arsenal. Just seen this Opta stat. No team has failed to win the Premier League, having been 9 points clear after 32 games. Now, all right, that might be skewed by City's games in hand. However, how strange is it to think we're on course for that kind of historic number, and yet it is, as I say, still in City's hands as well as Arsenal's. That's massive. Yeah,
it's brilliant, isn't it? For the neutral, watching it counting down and being able to get excited by it. But it is a moment Arsenal are just allowing to happen. They're not taking control. They're not seizing the moment. City know exactly what they're to do. They'll have their heads down. They'll be getting after results. But I will say Arsenal probably would have took this at the start of the season if you'd have said we'll get to this stage of the season and it's both in our hands. If there's a pivotal game coming up, you win that game against City and you potentially the title is there to be won. So yes, they're stumbling into that game. City have got a lot more momentum, which could be huge, but yeah, it's Arsenal will be frustrated of how they've sort of let that slip into their position.
I believe it's time for you to get out of the storm.
It is. It's cold. I'm now going to go pick some horses and hopefully win the Grand National. Good luck to everybody.
Good luck. Cheers, Leon. Brilliant. That's Leon Osman. Back to Coventry in the Championship. John Bennett.
Coventry 0, Sheffield Wednesday 0 at full time. So Coventry's promotion party delayed by a spirited Sheffield Wednesday performance. Yes, they've set a new unwanted record today for a winless run by a Football League club of 37, but they were superb this afternoon. They could have won the game. Jerry Yates missed a great chance. As for Coventry, Liam Kitchen had a header saved off the line. Ellis Sims had an overhead kick saved right at the end, but they were nowhere near their best. It's when, not if, they will go up Frank Lampard's side, but it won't happen today. Coventry 0, Sheffield Wednesday 0.
So Coventry can't go up today, as John says. They surely will. They inevitably will. Ipswich Town have taken a massive step toward joining them. Sahel Sahi.
Yeah, huge here. Full-time Steve. Norwich 0, Ipswich 2. They've regained second place and recorded their first league double over Norwich since 1993. It was a feisty derby, ended with 10 yellow cards, 5 apiece, and at times the referee, he did very well to keep the red card in his pocket. The key moments were clinically taken by Ipswich. The first from the penalty spot through Jayden Philogene after Jack Taylor was clipped in the area. The second right on half-time, a long throw-in picked out George Hurst, who finished off the scoring and finished off any lingering playoff hopes that Norwich harboured. Full-time, Norwich 0, Ipswich 2.
All the pressure now on Middlesbrough when they play Portsmouth at 3 o'clock. Remember, our base for full commentary is Brentford versus Everton. You'll also get Burnley versus Brighton on 5 Sports Extra, and we're just over half an hour away from kickoff. Much more Grand National build-up to come in the next few minutes as well. France 40, Italy 7 is a full-time score, by the way, in the Women's Six Nations. Let's just get one final word on what we've seen at the Emirates from Statman Dave, who's been watching Andy Reid and Lee Blakeman. And Lee, if ever there were questions about Arsenal after the League Cup final, after the quarter-final defeat to Manchester City in the FA Cup, well, what happened in midweek against Sporting has not answered them, not now.
It counted for nothing, Steve, because from the first moment here, you would have thought that playing at the Emirates, given what has happened, Sporting aside, over the last few weeks, it would give them the boost that they would need, the extra atmosphere that Mikel Arteta called for. It arrived pre-match, but on the pitch, Arsenal were consistently second best. Bournemouth came with a game plan and were superb, and despite making 5 substitutions in this game, all 5 at his disposal, Mikel Arteta, they didn't really have an impact and had no idea, Andy, any of them, how to break through a Bournemouth side who, give them credit, without the ball, were absolutely awesome. Steve called it earlier, didn't he? Iraola ball. It was spot on.
Yeah, they were brilliant. They really were, but you know, I suppose because Arsenal are top of the league at the moment and going for the Premier League, the main story is going to be Arsenal not picking up the win. Now, there was a lot of nervousness here. You could see it. It was a good atmosphere at the start, but as soon as Arsenal didn't really get into the flow after the first 4 or 5 minutes, the fans start getting edgy, and then that creeped its way down onto the pitch. So it was a really edgy performance. I do think that we shouldn't be ruling Arsenal out. You know, probably the way we've been going on, probably seems like they've given up the title. They haven't. They're still in a strong enough position. You would expect them to go on and be able to produce better performances between now and the end of the season than what they have done today. So I wouldn't rule them out by any stretch of the imagination. They've worked really hard to get in it. They just have to find a way to get over the line.
And I think as well, Andy, you know, looking at the performance there, I think we've got to speak about Alex Scott. He was absolutely brilliant in the match, completed 91% of his passes, made more ball recoveries than any of the play on the pitch, and obviously scored the winner with that brilliant reverse that you described before. For me, got to be on the plane to the World Cup.
Thank you very much, everybody. Sorry, Andy, we just got to jump in, but thank you very much. Great stuff from all 3 of you. Andy there with Lee as well, and Statman Dave. Bournemouth winners at Arsenal. Absolutely huge result for Bournemouth as well. Let's not forget about them. They deserved the victory. Arsenal and Mikel Arteta just unable to break through. Finished in League One, Lincoln Leyton Orient. Nick Ash.
Where it finished Lincoln 2, Leyton Orient 1. Lincoln's promotion party in full swing today as Michael Scabala's side took a huge step towards securing the title. Jack Moylan put them in front with a brilliant strike on the turn from the edge of the area, and the lead was doubled just before half-time thanks to a Will Forrester own goal. Lincoln had plenty of chances in the second half, but Orient managed to get one back from the head of Dom Ballard, his 22nd goal of the season. Lincoln hung on though. It finished Lincoln 2, Leyton Orient 1.
What about that game between Cardiff and Bolton? Owain Gwyneth.
Cardiff 2, Bolton 0. The Bluebirds secured their first win in 4 matches to open a 10-point gap to Bradford in third to reaffirm their status as favourites to be automatically promoted with Luton. 2 goals in as many minutes early in the second half with just reward for City's performance. Kellyman flicked in from a corner. Willock with a cool finish from a counter-attack. Could have easily been 4-5. Bolton fans would be worried with their form. Cardiff 2, Bolton 0.
So, big day for Cardiff in their hope for promotion from League One. Could have been a big day as well for Bromley in League Two. It could have been the day for promotion, but not today, Angus Patterson.
Not today. MK Dons 2, Bromley 1 at full time. Bromley will have to wait to confirm their promotion to League One. Nathaniel Mendes-Lang gave the hosts the lead in the first minute. Wiles doubled that lead before Mellish's red card in the second half gave Bromley the momentum. Marcus Eiffel got them back in it, but MK Dons hung on. 2 big saves from Craig McGillivray to keep them on top. So they've cut the lead at the top to 4, and all eyes turn to Thursday at home against Cambridge for Bromley. It ends 10-man MK Dons 2, Bromley 1.
The other score, by the way, Bristol Rovers 3, Crawley 1 is a full-time score. It finished Plymouth 2, Exeter 2, the other early kick-off in League One. Back to the Women's Six Nations. England-Ireland is underway on BBC One. Maz Faruqi.
Where England have just scored the first points of this match here at the Allianz Stadium at Twickenham. Steve, a rolling maul in the corner, in the far corner. Amy Cockayne bundling over in the end. We're just waiting for the conversion kick to see if this will be slotted, and it will. So England lead Ireland by 7 points to 0. Fantastic atmosphere here. We've seen a huge tifo erected in front of the stand opposite us that recognises the achievements of last year's World Cup winning team, also the England sides and players that came before them. England, remember, looking to win a Six Nations off the back of lifting that World Cup last year, something that's not been achieved by either an England women's or men's side before. John Mitchell making 8 changes from that World Cup starting 15 as well, but Ireland really up for this one as well, Cat Merchant.
Yeah, they started really strongly. Unfortunately for them, a couple of penalties in a row meant that England could just get into this game and strike first.
So this is the first match, of course, for the Red Roses as well since that World Cup final here last year, and they look like they're bursting forward again down the wing. So really strong start for England. They need Ireland by 7 points to 0, Steve.
You're up to date with all of the full times in the early kickoffs. One other score to bring you is Hull KR 24, York 6 in the Challenge Cup Rugby League quarter-final. Warrington versus Lee is the 5:30 kickoff. So much more football to come, because we're only 25 minutes away from full commentary in the Premier League of Brentford versus Everton, and we've got the Grand National coming up here at 4 o'clock. Let's go to Gina Bryce and find out where she is.
Well, as we edge ever closer to the big one, I'm delighted to be joined by Oliver Greenall and Josh Guerrieri, the training pair responsible for both Iroko and Jaguar in the race. Just a few moments ago, we had a huge kind of hailstorm and rain come through, and I imagine, Josh and Ollie, that might be good news for someone like Iroko, who could like a little bit of dig underfoot.
Definitely, yeah. We were quite happy seeing that come down, to be honest, because last year we felt the ground was a bit quick for him. He's not a quick horse, he stays well and does prefer softer ground, so yeah, the more the better.
And he ran brilliantly last year, Ollie. Through the season you've said you thought he was a better horse this year, but how do you reflect on his poor Cheltenham run?
Yeah, he scoped badly afterwards. The ground was probably only just sort of got good to soft on the day, and on the old course it is pretty tight there. It's a very different track to today, so I'm confident ever since then he's been working well. We've scoped him since, and he's been A1, so should all be good. He's obviously been round here. He made the odd mistake last time, made a big mistake at Valentine's, which really put him back, and he had to do a lot of work to get back up to the leaders. So if that, having had that experience, could just give him the edge today, and he could have a better jumping round and just hold his position better, which he seems to have done at Haydock and Ascot. So if he could do that on this softened ground, I think I'm with Iroko.
You were the Iroko. Josh, I know in various interviews you seem to be with Iroko as well, but I think opinions split between the public. Quite a lot of people do like Jaguar. Why would you go for Iroko over him?
Well, he is the safer bet, I suppose. He's been here, he's done it. We know he can jump around and he stays well. He finished well last year. Jaguar could come here, love it, travel like mad and go through the race easily and he's the unexposed one, I suppose, that could improve a lot. He's improving all the time, and it is a hard split, but I suppose Iroka's just a safer one. I'm not saying Jaguar hasn't got the chance that Iroka has, because he probably has, but he's got to prove it.
Best of luck later on, guys.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Brilliant stuff. Let's get some more great live guests involved, shall we, on this Grand National Saturday. Delighted to say that Tom Bellamy has joined us, who'll be on Marble Sands this afternoon. Hello, Tom.
Hello, nice to see you.
You've had quite a 24 hours, though. We thought you were going to be on Nick Rocket.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind. The Nick Rocket sort of appointment was lovely to be involved with, and big string to my bow regardless of whether he ran or not. But yeah, no, look, he's not running, obviously, and shame for Keelan Woods that he's missing out on this one, but good to step in.
And a shame for you about Nick Rockett. You know, how are you doing with that? Because that's a lot to take in, the emotional high of getting the ride and then having to deal with this.
I didn't really let it happen, get too high, if I'm honest, because it was. I didn't even realise the declarations were at the 3-day stage. Like usually it's 2 days. It's the first year they've done the 3-day stage. So my agent rang me that morning and said, "Oh, you're riding one of Willie Mullins's," and I thought that was fantastic news in itself. And then I found out which one it was, and it was so far away, 3 days. I thought, I didn't even watch any of his runs or look for his form or anything. I thought I'll have a look tomorrow, and by that stage it was all over. So I didn't have the chance to get too high about it anyway.
How do you refocus from thinking you were going to be on the horse that won the Grand National last year to being on a totally different horse? You know, all that prep is out of the window. There must be a lot going on in that head of yours.
Yeah, absolutely. But like I didn't, at the start of the week, I had no ride in the Grand National. That's the way I was looking at it. So Nick Rockett was a bonus, then that disappeared, and then I've got another bonus now. So I've ridden for Graham McPherson and David Killaheen plenty in the past, and he's not a horse I know, but I've had a good chat to Keelan this morning and done all my homework and watched his replays and things like that. So my preparation's done now.
Tom, lovely to talk to us. Crazy 24 hours, I know, but get your head on and enjoy it later.
I'll give it a go. Thank you.
Brilliant. Top man, great stuff. Tom Bellamy, who was going to be on Nick Rockett, last year's Grand National winner. Then Nick Rockett, we learned yesterday, wasn't going to be able to run and now goes on marble sand. So Tom Bellamy, who'll be in the Grand National later this afternoon. How far are we on the race now? Only about an hour and 40 minutes, and we've got the first half of the football to come as well. We're speaking to jockeys, we're speaking to owners, we're speaking to trainers. Let's bring in Sarah Bradstock. Sarah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Tell us about your horse, Mr. Van Gogh.
Well, I can tell you I'm a lot happier than I was 40 minutes ago because we needed that rain. He's a wonderful old horse, but he's a proper stayer. He wants much softer ground, but I hope that rain's made it safe enough, and just praying that he can lay up enough to plunder on at the end.
I mean, he's been compared to me to a heavyweight boxer as Mr. Van Gogh. You know, he's some horse, some physical specimen. I could imagine he'll deal with all weather. Bring the hail on.
Bring the hail on. The heavier the better for him. He is a giant. I've never come across as big a horse. And he's had a bit of bad luck this year with corns, and he had a bug at Newcastle, but he's back in good nick. It won't be soft enough, but it's 4.5 miles, so we just keep hoping.
Sarah, stay with us because we're just going to go and get the final stages of the William Hill Handicap Chase with John Hunt.
Look away, one of the favourites is leading, but another challenger, Mr. Hope Street, another strong fancy is putting in a great run ahead of Confusion and Chance. Another one, Final Fence, little to choose there between Look Away and Mr. Hope Street. Look Away, Mr. Hope Street battling on really tenaciously. There's nothing in it. They go to the line together, and on the nod, it looks as though it was Mr. Hope Street just ahead of Look Away. They were clear of Confusion in third place. But if Mr. Hope Street has won, and I think he has, there is no confusion about who potentially is the star of this Grand National Day. That is yet another winner for trainer Dan Skelton, his third of the day. I'm just looking at the photo finish image now. There's no doubt in my mind Mr. Hope Street has won it. Harry Skelton is on board. I don't think, Steve, on Grand National Day I can ever remember a trainer being in better form. 3 big winners for Dan Skelton. Panic attack to come in the Grand National.
You know what's amazing about this, Sarah? If you just look in front of us, Dan Skelton is just there to our left-hand side, and he's just walking around with his hands in his pockets. You wouldn't know anything has happened, as the rest of his family and team are going absolutely crazy. I mean, how do you keep your emotions in check?
Well, I think he's doing it a lot, isn't he?
You get used to it.
I think he's got used to it. I think it's all just part of the day for him, but I'm sure he's very happy about it.
And just tell us what the Grand National means to you.
Well, the Grand National is sort of the iconic race, isn't it? You know, we've always been as small guys. We've won a Gold Cup, so let's try and win a Grand National.
All the best for today. Thank you for talking to us. Good luck.
Thank you.
Brilliant stuff. Great. That is Sarah Bradstock. who's got Mr. Van Gogh in the Grand National this afternoon as the rain continues to pour down. Who knows what Aintree is going to look like come race time, but I tell you what, it is taking an absolute hammering with an hour and 20 minutes to go until race time. So the big story so far in the football, no doubt about it, Arsenal 1, Bournemouth 2. So Arsenal's lead is 9 at the top of the Premier League, but of course 2 games in hand now is what Manchester City enjoy, and City have got to play Arsenal as well next week, so that game is going to be absolutely huge. Not just about the football, not just about the Grand National today. Live coverage of the third round of the Masters starts on Sports Extra at 7:30. Defending champion Rory McIlroy 6 shots clear. He tees off at a few minutes to 8 o'clock. Sorry, Mark Chapman, I was trying to read that. It's all very confusing tee times, but it's pretty special to be at Augusta yesterday to watch a master at work.
It's all right, I was confused as well, because until you said that I wasn't aware we were on air on Sports Extra from 7:30. But okay,
no.
So confused us both there. Yes, Rory McIlroy tees off just before 10-3 US time, so what's that? Just 10-8 UK time. He has a 6-shot lead over Sam Burns and Patrick Reed, 2 Americans, and then Rose, Lowry and Fleetwood lead a European charge there, all on 5 under. Trish Johnson, LPGA Tour winner, and our correspondent Ian Carter sitting in the Augusta sunshine with me this morning, just before 9:45 in the morning here. We touched on this last night on Sports Extra, Ian, but if you were sitting here a year ago with Rory McIlroy 6 shots clear going into the third round, you'd be feeling very different to now how you're feeling with Rory McIlroy 6 shots clear.
Yes, I think so, because he's got that win in the locker. But although one thing I would say is that now he's created a situation whereby if he didn't win, then that would raise all sorts of questions about him. So he has actually, in a way, with the freedom and the brilliance that he's shown, certainly around the greens, he has created a bit of pressure on himself now to convert this commanding lead that he has. But he will know, and everyone knows, there's still a long, long way to go. And you think back 30 years, Greg Norman, he had a 6-shot lead going into the final round. He hadn't won a Masters, and we all know what happened there, and Sir Nick Faldo came through and beat him very easily. So anything can still happen over the weekend.
Anything can still happen. Relaxed is the word that Ian used, and that struck me very much, Trish, as McIlroy's demeanour yesterday. And I go back to the 17th when myself and Alistair Bruce Ball were sitting yesterday. He had he chipped in, didn't he, from, I don't know, 40 yards, something like that, yesterday. He didn't deliberate over that for very long. I think 12 months ago he probably would have deliberated over that a little bit more because he hadn't won it. But he just did it yesterday.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment, and I think the reason being is just because there's less pressure, his thought process is so much more simple. And you're not trying to second guess yourself, and he looked at that and thought, well, I know exactly. Whereas when you're under pressure and you're desperate to try and win something, you tend to overthink it, to say the very least. And I actually think it's an interesting one, because I think he's in better form last year going into this than he certainly is this year. He's undercooked. He's hardly played. He's had a back injury. The fact that he's at 12 under and leading the Masters. I mean, we did say at the beginning of the week, Ian, that there is every possibility that if Rory just does a Rory, he could win going away, and that's what it looks like doing. Having said that, I don't think he's in that sort of form, and yesterday, with an hour to play, this was anybody's tournament. In that last hour, he just blew the field away with some of the most ridiculous shots I've ever seen in my life.
Well, it was extraordinary. I mean, the 16th and the 18th were birdies that came out of just brilliant golf. The 15th birdie, he had to get himself out of trouble and get up and down to make his birdie, and of course he chips in on the 17th as well. So he has ridden his luck somewhat. I think it's fair to say that he has scored better than he has played so far, and that will be the element of hope for the chasing pack. But he has given himself this comfort blanket that he can dictate the weekend.
It was a sensational back nine from him, but maybe 90 minutes before the end of his round, a couple of hours maybe before the end of his round, we thought we could be in, and maybe we still will be, who knows, but we thought we could be in for one of the great Masters bun fights, given the names on the leaderboard, particularly the European names, actually.
Yeah, and I think Fleetwood is the name that we all sort of, I guess, probably everybody here would love to see Tommy Fleetwood win a Masters, win a major in general, and he made a great comeback, you know, after his poor finish on Thursday, 2 bogeys in the last 3 holes. But his interviews are so interesting. I think even when Tommy finishes poorly, and he very much is just very positive, and you know he's in really good nick, you know his form is there. And obviously Justin Rose is still there. Shane Lowry, I mean, it's Rory's to lose, we know that, but if he gets off to just a little bit of a poor start and it sounds a lot of shots, 6. You drop a couple of shots, someone makes 3 birdies, it's 1.
Yeah.
You know, and there's an awful long way to go around this golf course.
So, we are set for a fascinating weekend. McIlroy has a 6-shot lead, just a little peek behind the 5 Live golf team curtain. 3 members of this team are Arsenal fans. It has been a stressful morning. And what are you glaring at me for, Trish? Are you not saying anything? It's been a stressful morning and could turn out to be a very, very long day.
What I'm thinking cannot be said live on air.
Well, don't then. Just we'll move on. On air on Sports Extra from 7:30 apparently, and then 5 Live from 9. Steve.
Cheers, Mark. Yeah, the coverage is always amazing, and it's going to be a brilliant finish to the Masters, even if Rory McIlroy goes and just completely runs away with it. We spoke to Patrick Mullins earlier.
It's a pleasure.
Spoke to Patrick Mullins earlier tonight, which was great fun as well. He, like Rory McIlroy, is trying to re-win the biggest prize of them all. Let's check back in on the rugby. The Six Nations, Women's Six Nations, of course, is underway. England facing Ireland. Maz Faruqi watching.
Pockets of blue sky overhead here at Twickenham. Perfect weather to play some free-flowing rugby, which is what we're seeing from England at the moment. They have scored their second try through Sarah Byrne. She touched down under the post. That's been converted by Helena Rowland. England lead Ireland with 2 converted tries on the board already. They are picking up from where they left off after the World Cup final, Cat Merchant.
Yeah, England looking really smart. They're playing really tactically well. They're using their boot really nicely, making Ireland have to turn. Ireland are defending well, but this England team are just looking so strong. As I say that, though, turnover, so Ireland will get an opportunity here.
So it's England 14, Ireland 0, 24 minutes played here at Twickenham, Steve.
We'll be up and down the land going to all of the live football ahead of full commentary of Brentford versus Everton in the Premier League after the news with Dan Maudsley.
The voice of the UK. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks so much. Good afternoon. The United States and Iran have begun negotiations in Pakistan aimed at ending the war in the Middle East. The talks come days after Washington and Tehran agreed a tenuous ceasefire that's ended nearly 6 weeks of fighting. And just to give you a sense of how fluid the situation is at the moment, we did hear earlier from President Trump that the US had begun the process of clearing the Strait of Hormuz. Well, just in the last few moments, we've heard from the Reuters news agency reporting that Iranian state television has warned that Iran is reporting that a US ship has turned back from the Strait of Hormuz after it was warned that it would be attacked within 30 minutes if it crossed that strait. So that was the latest on the Reuters news wire. On AFP as well, they are quoting the Israeli army as saying that they have hit over 200 Hezbollah targets in the last 24 hours in Lebanon. That after Iranian negotiators said they were in close contact with Lebanon to make sure the ceasefire was respected on all fronts. That is the latest on those talks. The coverage does continue on the BBC News live page and on the news stream on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sports with Steve Crossman. Listen on BBC Sounds.
Let's go up and down the land for the 3 o'clocks. Hearts versus Motherwell in the Scottish Premiership. Kenny Crawford.
Home is where the Hearts are today, and it's this Tynecastle base which has been so reliable for them this season. Unbeaten in the league here, and how Derek McInnes's men need a bit of steadying after dropping points away from home last weekend. They're 1 point ahead of Rangers and 3 points clear of Celtic. Motherwell led 3-0 here back in August, so they know they can score goals at Tynecastle. That game ended up 3-3. 3 changes for Hearts. Stuart Findlay's back in defence. Benny Beningame and Blair Spittle come into the midfield.
Celtic still right in the title picture at home to St Mirren. Ailey Barber.
right in it, because they know that if they win all their games, the title will be theirs once again, and it starts today against St Mirren, who the last time they met humbled them at Hampden to lift the League Cup, and they've won their last 2 under interim boss Craig McLeish, so it could be a tricky day for Celtic, who continue to look unconvincing, winning just 3 of their last 6 in the league and just 1 of their last 3 games here at Celtic Park. The margin for error has disappeared. It is must win from here on out for Celtic.
After Ipswich won at Norwich, Middlesbrough surely must beat Portsmouth at the top of the Championship. Chris Coles.
And this game would have been more firmly under the microscope had Coventry won, but as they didn't, we can focus on a huge game for both Middlesbrough and Portsmouth in its own right. Borough wobbling, 5 league games without a win, still only 3 points off Ipswich in second, and Pompey still fighting a point above danger, but they too struggling, 8 games without victory. This is a big game at both ends of the Championship table.
Hull City's focus is the playoffs. They're in 5th and are at Sheffield United. Sani Rudravajula.
Sheffield United 17th, their season petering. Hull incredibly efficient in those playoff spots, looking to stave off the chasing pack. 14-goal Ollie McBurney starts, looking to score against his former side.
Southampton are the form team. Thumped Wrexham at the racecourse today. They've got another side in the race for the top 6. Derby, Emily Herbert.
And they're pushing to climb the playoff table, currently holding the final spot, but a win could take them up to 5th. They're chasing a 6th straight victory with Wash Stewart back leading the line. Derby are right in the mix too, targeting a late surge. 3 points off and 3 changes. Mac Johnson and Sammy Schmodik's return.
Leicester in the bottom 3 face Swansea. Adam Cottier.
And as the 10-year anniversary of their Premier League title win nears, back-to-back relegations is a real possibility for Leicester, but they still have 5 games left and room to avoid dropping into League One. With Portsmouth to come next week, they can ill afford a bad result today. One player in form is Sander Potnik, who comes here as the Championship's leading scorer with Swansea.
Oxford are just below Leicester. They've got Watford this afternoon. Mark Webber.
Some Oxford United fans disheartened they only picked up 2 points over Easter, but overall the Ox's mood is still bullish. They field an unchanged side against a Watford team who admit the playoffs are gone, even if they are mathematically possible. 2 changes for them, including the return of Edo Kiembe, who was under government orders to party with his Democratic Republic of Congo teammates instead of returning to Watford on time. Party in Kinshasa or training in Watford? Tough call.
Also in the Championship, Charlton, Preston and Stoke Blackburn in League One. 3rd place Bradford hosts Stevenage. Shojo Saka.
It's been 22 years since Bradford have been in the second tier. The Cardiff result earlier means that they are now 10 points off the automatic promotion spots. It'll be the playoffs likely for them. 2 wins on the bounce over Easter's got Bradford back on track. 3 changes today from manager Graham Alexander. Stevenage in 6th, looking to reach the second tier for the first time in their history. They've won 5 of their last 8 and only conceded 1 goal during that run. Stevenage 11 is unchanged today.
Rotherham are 11 points from safety. A South Yorkshire derby against Barnsley, not safe themselves. Niall McLaughlin.
Rotherham's faint survival hopes dealt a grave blow with defeat to rock bottom Port Vale midweek. That's 3 games in charge now for Lee Clark as boss. 2 defeats and a draw without scoring a goal. Barnsley 14th. Sounds comfortable, doesn't it? 7 places from the relegation zone, but the truth is they're just 2 points clear of the drop themselves in this bonkers League One table. Nothing can be mathematically decided today at the bottom of the 3rd tier, but helpings of hope and servings of despair can definitely be dished up over the next 90 minutes.
In League 2, 2 sides in the playoff places. Cambridge, Notts County, Sam Ashu.
Big game feel at Abbey Stadium, first sellout of the season, biggest crowd since Manchester United were here back in 2015. In fact, Cambridge are unbeaten in 25 of their last 27, but winless in 3. Manager Neil Harris saying this week that he wants his side to adopt a hunting mentality. Again, Notts County coming to this off the back of an Easter Monday win against Newport. They are though missing top scorer Alassana Jatta, who's suspended. A win for either puts League 2 promotion in their own hands.
Newport and Harrogate fighting to stay in the Football League. They face each other. Laura Kenyon.
It's the old cliche, Steve, a relegation 6-pointer, a season-defining day at the bottom of League 2. Just 4 games left to play for Christian Fuchs, the Newport boss, a Premier League title winner with Leicester, finds himself at the opposite end of the Football League drama now, faces a Harrogate side with just 3 wins this season.
Back to England, Ireland and the Women's Six Nations. Maz.
England pushing for a 3rd try just before half-time, Steve, putting together some really good passages of play. Ireland really struggling at the moment to put any dent really in England's progress in this game. The world champions still lead here at Twickenham by 14 points to 0.
Arsenal's lead at the top of the Premier League is still 9 points. They were beaten 2-1 at the Emirates by Bournemouth. City, remember, Manchester City have 2 games in hand. Here's Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta.
Yeah, a tough one, especially because we had invested a lot in this game. We need the importance of that. So it's a big punch on the face. And now it's about the reaction, how you stand up and fight it and go with everything that we have forwards, because it's a painful day for sure.
Pressure rising, those, is it telling on the players?
I don't know if it's that. I think, again, we've been coping with a lot of pressures in the beginning of the season. Today was more, obviously, a surprise of certain action that are very far from the level that we have shown, and obviously that shocks the system, and we weren't good enough. We asked a lot for our crowd. Today we didn't respond to those standards, and we have to apologise, taking in the chin and move on.
That's Mikel Arteta. Burnley Brighton about to get underway on 5 Sports Extra in the Premier League. Julia Bold.
Scott Parker makes 4 changes from Burnley's defeat at Fulham 3 weeks ago. Josh Laurent's red card in that game means he's replaced in defence by Yalmar Ekdal. Into the midfield come Florentino, Marcus Edwards and Leslie Ugochukwu. Brighton, of course, pushing for a European spot, beat Liverpool last time out. They've made 2 changes. Manager Fabian Hürzeler serving a touchline ban. Lewis Dunk suspended, so replaced by Olivier Boscalgi. No James Milner, he's replaced by Yassin Ayari.
Don't forget, you'll be able to listen in full to full commentary of Brentford versus Everton versus on 5 Sports Extra, because here on 5 Live, once we get toward 4 o'clock, we'll be bringing you the Grand National. We are live at Aintree all afternoon, but we are also live at Brentford. Massive game in the race for European places. So the Grand National to come, but the focus now on the Premier League. Mark Schwartzers with Ian Dennis.
Well, it really is one of the great sporting weekends, isn't it? 12 hours of live sport on BBC Radio 5 Live. The Masters to look forward to, as Steve says, the Grand National to come at 4. But in our Premier League weekend as well, after its absence of 21 days, already there has been a huge story. As Arsenal, the league leaders, beaten at home by Bournemouth by 2-1. Burnley and Brighton and Hove Albion will be on Sports Extra 2. But here, Mark Schwarzer, this is a massive game as far as Champions League qualification is concerned.
Very much so. I mean, they're both very much in the hunt for Champions League football. Who would have thought that? We'd be sitting here talking about Brentford and Everton in the hunt for Champions League football. And it's remarkable. It's credit to both sides. Keith Andrews has done a remarkable job here at Brentford. And then you look at David Moyes, the return of David Moyes at really a pivotal moment in Everton's history, changing new stadium, and it's outstanding what he's done so far.
Well, it's certainly intensified this week with a confirmation that top 5 will guarantee the team that finishes in that position Champions League football next season. As we are underway, and it was literally an up and under from Everton in the all-royal blue as they play from right to left as we look against Brentford in their red and white striped shirts and black shorts from left to right. They've made 2 changes, the home team. There's no Jordan Henderson. Pinnock has dropped to the bench, so they've changed their shape after having a back 3 against Leeds 21 days ago. Kelleher is in goal, a back 4 of Coyote, Collins, Vandenberg and Lewis Potter, Jensen, Yarmouk, Damsgaard, Ouattara, Sharda and Igor Thiago. As Everton have made just the 1 change from the team that played against Chelsea, and that is Branthwaite returning to the heart of their defence instead of Keane. Pickford then is in goal, O'Brien, Branthwaite, Tarkowski and Mikolenko, Gay and Garner, and then Dewsbury Hall, McNeil and Jai supporting Beto. There was some boos there for the former Brentford player James Tarkowski, 74 appearances and 4 goals in a 2-year period as he left actually 10 years ago. And how Brentford have prospered in those 10 years. Never before in their history have they qualified for Europe, but they've got an early chance here. Sharda is in goal. Sharda goes round the goalkeeper, tripped by Pickford. Penalty. And it's just a yellow card to Jordan Pickford from our referee, Farai Hallam.
Wow, what a moment. I tell you what, Everton were in slow motion, weren't they? I mean, as the ball got played over, Sharda was played through, Everton just looked like they weren't aware of the danger, and as he came through, he went around Pickford. You almost thought like the chance had gone. His touch wasn't the best. Pickford's come out quite rationally, outstretched left foot, and it clearly collects Sharda there. Yeah, you can see it. Studs actually into the foot, and Sharda's fine. He gets up. There's no debate. There's no question. It is definitely a penalty.
And I was just waiting to see what action they would take, the referee, Pariah Haaland, but there was a defender running back. I think it was Mikolenko. So therefore, and he was running away from goal as well. So that was why it would probably be a yellow card and not the denial of a goal-scoring opportunity.
Double jeopardy. Goalkeeper doesn't get sent off on a penalty decision. Am I right in saying so?
Well, you should know.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, they've changed that rule. I believe so, because that would have been absolutely hard. We've always talked about that, how harsh that is. Give away a penalty, goalkeeper. Most likely, if anyone's going to do it as a goalkeeper, and to be penalised twice wouldn't be fair.
Igor Thiago, from the penalty spot this season, has scored 7 of his 8 spot kicks for Brentford. This would take him to 20 goals in the Premier League. It's a stuttering run-up, and he scores. Right-footed, Pickford dives the right way to his right, but he finds the bottom left-hand corner, and inside 3 minutes, Brentford are ahead. They lead Everton by a goal to 0.
Yeah, that was a penalty of someone who's got unbelievable amounts of confidence. He steps up, took his time, took almost a breather halfway through. Pickford then makes the first move, and Thiago just places it in the corner with power. Pickford goes the right way, but absolutely no chance, and a very, very good penalty.
Well, Jordan Pickford, who saved a penalty against Brighton and Hove Albion earlier in the season, went the right way, but he has been such a superb acquisition, the Brazilian. During the international break, incidentally, he made his Brazilian debut for the last 19 minutes against France, and then he scored on his second appearance against Croatia in their 3-1 victory from the spot. And only Erling Haaland now has scored more goals in the Premier League than Igor Thiago. And what a start it is for Brentford. There's been a goal in League Two.
If you only want to listen to uninterrupted commentary of Nottingham Forest versus Aston Villa, you can do that. Just about to begin for Crystal Palace Newcastle. That's on Sports. That is your choice of listening right now on Premier League Sunday here on 5 Live. We're focused on Sunderland versus Spurs. It's out of the darkness and into the light for Roberto De Zerbi and Tottenham. The situation very, very clear. The full game is live with Pat Nevin and Mike Minor.
Aaron, thank you. Out of the darkness into the stadium of lights, with the sun shining strong across 90% of the Stadium of Light pitch as the players emerged from the tunnel. The wind that's ripping around outside that kind of put a tear in your eye. Sheltered inside the stadium that sweeps around with its red and white seats. Very few visible now, but some of them a little less faded than others with the updates they've done to this great stadium. Sunderland may be on the North Sea beach. They've achieved a 40-point goal. A derby win even got them to 43. And the players out on the turf, we try and look down towards the dugouts to get that first sight of Roberto De Zerbi as the Tottenham manager. Can't quite see him just yet. The sun that is shining on Sunderland, Pat, far from shining on Tottenham. The 3-week break that they've had now finds them in the relegation zone. When De Zerbi signed at the end of March, they were out to the bottom 3, but West Ham's win on Friday now has Tottenham sat 2 points adrift. He has thrown himself out of the Marseille frying pan and right into the Spurs fire.
It certainly is into the fire, and especially if you look at how West Ham have been playing. They've been absolutely brilliant, and since January time they've gone on some run, and just look at a team that's playing with complete belief about them. There doesn't seem to be any of that about Spurs, so we'll be keeping an eye on that closely. And I'll be keeping my eye in my memory. Camina Barara, did I say? Of course, with Prokofiev stance at the night from Romeo and Juliet. But you all know that anyway, didn't you?
Yes. Well, whatever the result, there will be a story for the former Brighton boss, including the Seagulls. He's not lost his first game in charge of his last 4 clubs, but on the South Coast, he didn't win any of his first 5. And Roberto De Zerbi, with his quiffed black hair, sits in the dugout at the Stadium of Light, leans forward, sits on the edge of his seat, his greying beard now with the prominent goatee that rises to his bottom lip, and he will stride out towards the edge of his technical area for his first game in charge of Tottenham Hotspur. It's been a while coming. 12 days he's been the boss without a game, but that's given him 12 days to try and work on the tactics that can get Tottenham out of the trouble they are in. We are underway at the Stadium of Light in the sunshine. It is Tottenham who begin our proceedings this afternoon in their all-yellow away kit. And they are from left to right with Sunderland, the home side, red and white vertical striped shirts, the black shorts and the white socks.
I'm not saying football people are predictable. What was the first thing Spurs did with the ball? Straight back to the goalkeeper, give him a touch, make sure his confidence is up. And they've done it twice now, just to get him involved in the game.
And for De Zerbi, who likes to play out from the back and sometimes uses goalkeeper as a third defender, Antonin Kinski twice. We'll run you through the two teams properly in a moment, but Kinski is in goal for Tottenham today with Vicario out following a hernia operation. Twice has just sent it long downfield. He's not taking any chances just yet.
Yes, well, I suggested that before the game, we'd do it, and it is page one of the football book. You don't take any chances with someone has had that difficulty recently. He's getting lots of the ball here just now. It's lovely that the Spurs players understand that he's needed that a little bit. What they don't want to do is give him the ball and allow him to be closed down. I'm surprised that Sunderland aren't closing him down.
Yeah, put the pressure on, knowing what happened in Kinski's last game, that 5-2 defeat in the Spanish capital to Atletico Madrid. They were 3-0 down after 17 minutes. Igor Tudor then took him off following a couple of errors, and Tottenham here on the front foot with Solanke into the penalty area, left hand side, pulls it back. Bergvall was arriving, couldn't connect with the shot, and then Porro strikes towards the near post top corner, patted down by Robin Roos, who gets the round of applause and the call out from the Sunderland supporters. But that was a bright Tottenham attack.
It was really positive, nothing slow about the build up, real belief. Udogie, him back in the left back position, as we know, he flies forward in every opportunity, and he's got a good understanding with Richarlison over there quite a lot of the time, so we shall see if that continues through the game.
Wonder how that Spurs front three will link up this afternoon. Solanke, Richarlison and Kolo Muani all up there, three number 9s, only one of them can in that role. Now it's Sunderland's turn to attack, but Mickey van der Ven hooks it over his right shoulder, sends it back towards the halfway line. Sunderland far side to right, go with the early cross that bounces along the turf and then is away once more from Pedro Porro, who's got that shot away for Spurs early on. Now Richarlison racing into the Sunderland half, tries to play it across diagonally to the right hand side to find Solanke. Not enough power on the pass, and Sunderland have their bodies back to get the interception that rolls into the hands of Robin Roos.
Yeah, it is interesting to see Spurs are trying to be ultra positive. You're right, Moani's on the right hand side, Richarlison left, Solanke up front, but they're trying to get Bergvall as far forward as they possibly can, to give a little bit of help to them. And Gallagher, obviously he'll do it. Gray will sometimes go forward and Gallagher will sometimes go forward, but that three-man midfield there, they have got a job of work to do. The good thing for them is they do work hard, each of them.
And the Spurs recover the ball on the edge of their defensive third. Roberto De Zerbi, well out of his technical area, just hands his side a little round of applause, a little bit animated, his right arm waving in the air to get some instructions as Kinski goes long down the middle of the field. It is 0-0. Sunderland Tottenham on 5 Live Sport. 0-0 in the other 2 o'clock kickoffs that have just got underway as well. Brian Brobby for Sunderland, though, left corner of the penalty area, has the overlapping option of Habib Diarra. Goes back towards the former Arsenal man, Granit Xhaka, taking on Tottenham this afternoon, who plays it out towards the far right-hand side. Sunderland now just trying to get a little bit of the ball, because although they've tried to race forward on a couple of occasions inside the opening 4 minutes, they haven't really had a prolonged period of possession. Now they slow it down. Omar Alderete inside the centre circle, uses Luko Nyan, and then it's pushed out on that far side for Siddiqui, chased down by Mukiele, runs out of room, and that goes out for a goal kick. So that gives us a chance to run you through the teams. Sunderland with Robin Roos in goal, back after a hamstring injury that's kept him out since February. Reynildo starts at right back in replace of Lucharel Geertruida. Then it's Onana and Alderete in the centre of defence. Mukiele in the left back position. Granit Xhaka holds the midfield then. Former Arsenal man as mentioned. Rig Diarra, Siddiqui and Lefay Lefay being the last of the 4 changes, and Brian Brobby, who won the game at Newcastle 3 weeks ago in Sunderland's last game, starts up front for Tottenham. 5 changes for them. Vicario, their goalkeeper, had a hernia operation in the break, so Antonin Kinski starts in goal. More on their team in a minute, because here come Tottenham with a sweeping low shot from Richarlison left-hand side. Another fluid move from Roberto De Zerbi's team. Richarlison's shot lacked the power, and Robin Roos had a comfortable save. Starts up front for Tottenham. 5 changes for them. Vicario, their goalkeeper, had a hernia operation in the break, so Antonin Kinski starts in goal. More on their team in a minute, because here come Tottenham with a sweeping low shot from Richarlison left-hand side. Another fluid move from Roberto De Zerbi's team. Richarlison's shot lacked the power, and Robin Roos had a comfortable save on his goal line.
Do you know what? Richarlison's got himself into 2 brilliant positions so far and mishit the pass first time and then the shot second time, which is a real surprise for the quality of player of him. I know he likes playing more centrally, but he's playing that left-hand side just now. He seems to be getting a lot of space. What is very noticeable is this a really lively start to the game. Nothing tentative from either side. This could be a real cracker.
Robbie intercepts and notices there'll be a run on the right-hand side for...
It's good shots on target, though. But the fact that, Sunderland, they're playing without any pressure. There's no pressure at all, and they can really enjoy this, and they're going out to enjoy it. The fans, they're lapping it up as well at the moment.
Lefay, so a warm applause for him as he heads over towards that far side. 6 minutes played 0-0 at the Stadium of Light. Corner on the far side to Sunderland here. Everybody back in the 18-yard box of Tottenham. It's whipped right on top of the crossbar, and Kinski makes a good save there. He was backpedaling and just clawed it over with his right arm over his shoulder, pushed the ball over the bar. It's going to be another Sunderland corner.
Now that's what you do with a goalkeeper who's under a little bit of pressure. You just ask him a few questions early on. That is a corner kick, but it's also a shot. He's deliberately done that. That's not a fluke. He's asking the keeper, are you ready for it? Zipped it in there. Very unlucky from Xhaka.
So Enzo Lefay will now take the corner near side the left for Sunderland. Score still 0-0. He puts that one into the middle of the 6-yard box. It is poked away by Tottenham men on the edge of the D from a Sunderland player that can't connect cleanly. And now Kolo Muani trying to set Spurs off on the counter-attack. The touches from Sunderland aren't necessarily convincing. Needs a little bit of rescuing from Noah Siddiqui. And Sunderland have, for now, dealt with that. But then Tottenham had it to the Black Cats out on the right-hand side. You can hear the roar of the Sunderland fans wanting their side to put the pressure on Tottenham, but also not kick the ball out of play with a Tottenham player down just inside the Sunderland half. In the end, it's a missed pass from Lefay that runs out of play for a goal kick. And that means Randall Kolo Muani can now receive the treatment as he lies and rolls around on the floor just outside the centre circle.
Yeah, and do you know, he went in for a tackle. There's no foul involved there, and I think he's probably just caught his ankle. There's a lot of boos going on, as if to say you should have kicked the ball out. No, it's nothing got to do with you. It's the referee's decision, and it's not the Sunderland's players' fault there. Do you know whose fault that is? Players who dive and cheat and pretend they're injured when they're not. That's the problem. And I'm not suggesting for a moment Muani did there, but he is okay now.
And Siddiqui's challenge, he might have got Kolo Muani in the aftermath. He is limping around inside the centre circle, but he'll be okay. Not a head injury, so there is no need, as you say, for our referee Rob Jones to stop the play. Sunderland win the ball just inside the Spurs half, quickly recovered by Van der Ven, and out for a throw in midway inside the Tottenham half on the far side, 0-0.
Do you know what the giveaway with that injury was? He lay on the ground with the sore leg, shaking his wrist. And I don't know how that works, really.
I'm no doctor.
I don't know how that works at all.
The other rule this season in the Premier League is if the medical staff are waved on, then you have to go off for minimum of 30 seconds. So as soon as that threat probably came from Rob Jones, Kolo Muani got back to his feet.
It's interesting because sometimes, the players have to put a marker down. Sometimes the referee has to as well. I ain't going to stop it now, so if you stay down, you better be injured.
Still aware we've not given you the Tottenham team, but it's been a lively start. In towards the near post from Luke O'Nien on the right-hand side, in towards Brobby, who was trying to get there ahead of his man. Another cross will come in, skipping along the surface for Tottenham. Brobby trying to hold players off inside the penalty area. Eventually sent away by Archie Gray, but the press is there from Sunderland to limit how far forward Tottenham can go. They've got a throw-in level with the penalty area inside their own half, out on that far side, their left. So the Tottenham team, Kinski's in goal. Porro, Van der Ven, Romero and Udogie are the defensive line for Roberto De Zerbi in his first game in charge. Udogie, one of 4 outfield changes. Bergvall, Gallagher and Colin Moani also in for Tottenham, with Spence, Danso, Sarr and Tell all going to the bench. The midfield, Gray, Bergvall and Gallagher, Richarlison and Colin Moani flank Dominic Solanke for now, but that front three could be quite fluid. Solanke on the ball inside the centre circle, inside the Sunderland half. We've played 10 minutes on BBC Radio 5 Live, and it is 0-0 in a game where Sunderland have got something to play for. They may have hit their target of 40 points. The win over Newcastle took them to 43, so they could be on the beach, but so congested is that middle part of the Premier League, from 5th down to 13th. They may be having a sniff of European football. Regis Lebris, who stands with his arms folded on the edge of his technical area, tracksuit on for the Sunderland manager, doesn't want to talk about Europe, but it's a real possibility for Sunderland in their first season back in charge, back in the Premier League, as Colin Moani tries to poke it with the outside of his boot unsuccessfully through on the right-hand side for Pedro Porro. Tottenham's goal is all about staying in the Premier League, which for a club of Tottenham's size seems quite remarkable to say, but big injury list for them to manage this season. A lot of inconsistency, and confidence is a huge part, Pat.
Without a shadow of a doubt, it's been a big thing. Actually, particularly at home, it's been really awful at home of late. Certainly since the turn of the year, it's been awful. So, you know, they're away from home, and that's weirdly, sometimes in these situations, that can help the team a little bit. They've not got the home support on top of them. That's nothing against the Spurs fans.
Doggie's gone on a run for the long ball that just bends its way into Robin Roos's penalty area, and he's able to go down on one knee to collect the ball. Yeah, Tottenham 2/3 of their points this season in the Premier League. 20 out of the 30 they've collected so far have come away from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Only Ipswich last season have won more points on the road in the competition as a percentage. 68% of Ipswich's points last season came on their travels in their ill-fated Premier League season. Tottenham have not got it together at home. A couple of credible games away from home, not least the draw with Liverpool just before the international breaks. Tottenham inside the centre circle at the moment, with Archie Gray passing it around with leisure and time, and then Richarlison gets the turn on his man, he's hauled to the floor, a little fling of the arm brings him down. That's a Tottenham free kick, and a try in the Challenge Cup quarter-final between Wakefield Trinity and Wigan Warriors for Chris Cooper.
And Wakefield further falling behind, down to 12 minutes now, 22-16 to Wigan. Easy catch and try for Zach Eckersley. They could run away with this now. St Helens away await the winners of this in the semi-finals. At the moment it's on course for Wigan. Wakefield 16, Wigan 22.
Thanks, Chris. You can watch full coverage of that game on Wakefield against Wigan on BBC One this afternoon. We'll take this free kick for Tottenham, then we'll be off to the City Ground to see how Nottingham Forest have started against Aston Villa this afternoon. Tottenham free kick, 10 yards inside the Sunderland half, left of centre. Sunderland have got a long line of 6-7 players in their red and white shirts on the edge of the penalty area. It's drifted in. I think that's going to sail past everyone. It is. Goal kick. We're off to the City Ground. Rob Law.
Nottingham Forest 0, Aston Villa 0, 12 minutes in. A really open game, helped by the pouring rain and the zip on the pitch. Both teams pushing for an opener, but no breakthrough as yet. Nottingham Forest 0, Aston Villa 0.
Goal kick comes to nothing for Sunderland. Robin Roos straight through to Anthony Kinski at the other end for Sunderland, and then Tottenham have it with Udogie on the left-hand side. Bergvall tries to flick the ball behind him. He was under a lot of pressure quickly. Kinski on the edge of his own penalty area wanted the ball to run in that 18-yard box so he could pick it up, and he couldn't. He's got it clear for now, but then it's won back here by Noah Siddiqui for Sunderland. Midway inside the Tottenham half. We'll be off to Selhurst Park in just a moment as Lefay, with his combed back brown hair, headband on, he's pulled back. That's a free kick to Sunderland, so we'll go to Selhurst Park. Andy Stevenson.
Goalless between Crystal Palace and Newcastle. Just the one moment of interest so far. Will Asula took a ball in his stride, powered towards the Palace area, but JD Cambo kept pace with him and just clipped the ball away from the Newcastle forward. Brilliant defending, recognised by the crowd. Crystal Palace 0, Newcastle 0.
And that game is available for you in full on Sports Extra 2 right now. Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa on Sports Extra. Best thing to do, get the BBC Sounds app, use the dial, and you can flick between the games, including this one at the Stadium of Light, which is Sunderland 0, Tottenham 0 after nearly quarter of an hour. Free kick, left-hand side here for Sunderland. One that with a bit of pace they could really whip into the penalty area. It's Granit Xhaka over it, left foot, little dink that takes a nick off the head of Pedro Porro out towards the right-hand side, and Nine tries the cross in near post. Kinski would have had to have been aware. No Sunderland player there to challenge, but it could have snuck in at the near post. Kinski saves it, 0-0.
Both of teams have had free kicks in interesting, dangerous positions. Here's a technical term for them. Both of them have been rubbish. Absolutely dreadful. The way they've put it across. Talking about Kinski, because you can't not talk about him. He's getting a lot of the ball just now, isn't he? It doesn't look like any confidence. It looks okay, doesn't it?
Do you think he'll have asked for that?
Do you know, I think they'll be training with him every day, and the players will say, is he okay for it? Is he comfortable with it? They'll know from training, or they'll believe from training. Of course, it's different, and again, the pressure's a little bit different. He's played the ball out there to the right-hand side, and that's Brobby being Brobby, isn't it? He's a big, strong lad, isn't he? And he's just whipped straight in the back there of Romero, who he feels he should have got more than just a free kick there. The referee's been a bit lenient. It was an earlier one with Mukiele, who could easily have been yellow carded for almost being clotheslined, to use a line from another sport, from Richarlison there. So the referee's letting it flow just a little bit, which is kind of good for the game.
Clothesline, that could maybe make its way into the
commentators' lane, yes.
Commentators' glossary on the Commentators Voice podcast on BBC Sounds. A couple of entries went in this week. Pile driver was relegated to Division 2 as a term that is used elsewhere away from football. And with its use in wrestling connotations. But it was certainly a clothesline from Brian Bobby. Waist height maybe, but cleaned out.
I think Mukiele's was more of a clothesline than that one just before it. The game's calmed down a little bit just now, maybe not surprisingly, because it did start at a huge pace. The question that I would ask the Spurs just now, and it's pretty obvious, when they get into good areas, the final third, they don't seem to have any great ideas.
And the triangular piece of play works well for Sunderland as it sneaks into the box for Brian Brobby. Enzo Lefebvre had it on the left-hand side after 3 quick presses, gave him some space on the near left. But his ball through to Brian Brobby was quickly smothered by Antonin Kinski, and Tottenham again can start from the back, go down the middle. Solanke ties himself in a little bit of trouble. 2 Sunderland players quick to him, so the home side break away again. 0-0 the score. Here's Siddiqui, pulls himself towards the left-hand side of the 18-yard box, now in between box and touchline. It's laid back for Reynildo on this left-hand side, the left-back getting forward to help this Sunderland attack, which they've just calmed down and played back towards the halfway line. A little bit of possession using Alderete, using Granit Xhaka, who won 6-4 and lost 5 of his 15 games against Spurs during his time at Arsenal. He's only faced 5 other clubs more than he's faced Tottenham in his career. Siddiqui level with the left corner of the penalty area. Sunderland not looking for the 18-yard box for now. Played by Diarra out towards this near side touchline, and Lefebvre just stops the ball dead at his right boot, then uses his left to knock it 10 yards infield to Granit Xhaka. Square pass from him as Sunderland now move it from the near side to the far. 09, Sunderland with a terrible record against Tottenham in recent years. Unbeaten in their last 15 are now Roberto De Zerbi's side. Not that he's had a hand in any of them. This is his first game in charge. It started brightly for Tottenham, but now Sunderland building. Lefebvre, cross in, Brobby header over. He was in prime position in the 6-yard box, but he had to leap, stretching his neck muscles from close range, and he could only head it over. Sunderland 0, Tottenham 0.
This might sound a little bit like hyperbole. Had that been scored, that would be one of the best goals this season by some distance. They had the ball for so long. They passed it and they passed it. They drew players on. They were so patient with it. They basically toyed with Tottenham Hotspur for about a minute and a half there. Eventually got the cross in. And just for Brobby, it's a bit of a shame he couldn't get above it. But really good, comfortable, confident play there by Sunderland.
You want to use hyperbole, I'll use cliche. That was leaping like a salmon.
Yes, I'll give you that.
He was very salmon-esque in the way he rose off the ground. Brian Brobby using his feet and his leg muscles to get some height, and then stretching his neck like a salmon trying to swim up water. But it is Tottenham who are downstream and adrift at the moment in the Premier League, 2 points from safety, so a draw isn't good enough to lift them out the bottom three. Playing in the bottom three of the Premier League after more than 3 games for a considerable amount of time. 2009, I think it was the last time that Tottenham started a Premier League game with more than 3 games played in the relegation zone of the Premier League. It was a season where Wande Ramos was sacked and Harry Redknapp came in. It's Roberto De Zerbi, who's gone back to sit in his dugout. It's only Roger Lebris, the Sunderland manager, who's still stood in that same position, arms folded. And now De Zerbi, having spoke to his assistants, he's only brought a couple with him from Marseille, saying that now's not the time to worry about backroom staff. He hasn't got the time for them all to link together and sort perhaps a more familiar Roberto De Zerbi style of play. Right now is about results, and if they're still in the Premier League and he's still in charge in the summer, maybe things can change then. But Tottenham come forward. Colin Warney trying to get round the back of Alderete. They tangle, and the referee says Tottenham penalty. Rob Jones points right to the spot. Kolo Muani was getting in there. It was tight to the byline. The angle wouldn't have favoured the Tottenham striker. Luke O'Nien and Almar Alderete were involved, and it has given Tottenham a penalty here, seemingly when Sunderland were getting on top.
They were well on top there. The problem came from Ronaldo. He got the ball on the right-hand side, threw himself to the ground, got a free kick. By the way, we've seen a better angle of it here, and I don't know if he'll change it. If I was refereeing it, I wouldn't give a penalty for that. The reason being, I think Kolo Muani, he throws his right leg out and he initiates the challenge by throwing his right leg out and initiates the challenge. But I still don't think we'll change it. Look at another angle here. Throws his right leg out and takes the challenge. It's a brilliant camera angle we've got here at the stadium and the monitor here. Yeah. And I think that's a classic case of referee, go and look at it. Go on, look at it.
So it's James Bell, assisted by Nick Hopton in the VAR booth back at Stockley Park, who can ask Rob Jones to look at it. What it looks like, Luke O'Nien is sliding in. He doesn't make contact, but Kolo Muani knows that Alderete is right on top of him, right behind him. And the referee is going to go to the screen to check that, because it is, as Pat says, even though Alderete is behind and does make contact with Randall Kolo Muani right on the byline.
It's who initiates it.
It's who touches first. Does Kolo Muani's right leg look for the contact from Omar Alderete?
Now, do you know what? See, if he wouldn't have gone into it, he would have been fouled anyway. But he's thrown his right leg out, and that is the first contact. And in a way, you almost have to say he's fouled his opponent then, because he's not went for the ball. He's thrown his shit out. There's a number of players doing that just now, and as a player, I'm looking at it thinking, I know what's happened there. And that's, for me, that's not a penalty kick.
Midway through this first half then, 0-0 the score. Big decision for Rob Jones, who's over on the far side, the robotic arm with the TV screen showing him the same replays that we see. And here comes now Rob Jones. One more look for him. He just glances over his shoulder, confident in his decision then, and he says no penalty. So it's a reprieve for Sunderland. The opportunity to take the lead for Tottenham goes away for now. 23 minutes played, 0-0, and Roberto De Zerbi having to just be told to calm down by the fourth official, Thomas Bramall, down there. He's got his arms out wide, wanting an explanation as to why Kolo Muani wasn't given the penalty.
Well, I'll give him it if he wants, because it's quite clear to me. There's a number of players who do that in the game just now, and the referees don't always see it. And I've noticed that when VAR has not been able to see it, even though it's obvious to someone who's played a bit. On that occasion, that's pretty clear with a brilliant TV angle that they had.
Yeah, it couldn't have been better placed. The camera that was there for the VAR officials, and then later Rob Jones, our referee. There has been a goal. It could be a big one at the City Ground. Nottingham Forest against Aston Villa. Rob Law.
And it's Aston Villa who take the lead. Morgan Rogers at the byline, cut it back with real venom, and the ball rebounded wildly off Murillo inside the 6-yard area. Really hard on Forest, that one. They've been bright, but they are now behind, and it could yet get worse because Watkins is in, and he just puts it wide of the mark. It remains Forest 0, Villa 1.
So that lifts Aston Villa up to third above Manchester United, who play Leeds tomorrow night at Old Trafford. Nottingham Forest currently only a point above Tottenham. Tottenham drawing here 0-0 with Sunderland. Another try in the rugby. Chris Cooper.
Yes, level game now. Wakefield 22, Wigan 22. Wakefield back to parity with 13 players. Cam Scott going under the post. Max Jowett successful with the conversion. His third of the afternoon, bringing up 1,000 points for him for the club. It's 22-22.
So you can watch that on BBC One right now. Reminder, Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa on sport. With Aston Villa taking the lead in the East Midlands. On Sports Extra 2, it's Crystal Palace against Newcastle United. We can get the latest from Andy Stevenson.
It's still goalless, Mike. Hardly anything to tell you, to be honest. Some decent build-up play occasionally from both sides, but it all falls apart in the final third. Crystal Palace 0, Newcastle 0.
The blonde-haired Bergvall just manoeuvres into position central inside the Sunderland half as they look threatening on the 18-yard box. Who doggy dances, stuttering and stalling on the left-hand side, then plays it back in field. Thanks to Andy for that report. Tottenham just slowed it down here. Here's Romero and Van der Ven, the two centre-backs combining. Udogie stayed out on the left-hand side. Bit of space, his cross blocks at source, deflects behind Tottenham corner.
Do you know what? We'll not spend a lot of time talking to the referee, because when we ever talk about him, we always say he's having a stinker or whatever. I think he's done a brilliant job so far. There's quite a few times players have tried to dive and get free kicks. He's not falling for it. He's absolutely not going for it at all. And it's really impressive. And if he does that, the players will stop doing it and we'll get a more open game. Then he made the decision that it was an incorrect decision, but he's brave enough to walk over and say, no, I get that completely. So Spurs fans won't agree just now, but he's actually had a very good start.
So Pedro Porro heads over towards that far side, the left, to take Tottenham's corner. From an attacking perspective, what can Tottenham do here, having been denied a penalty? Can they now find another way to take the lead? The corner right in. Roofs stayed within his 6-yard box, but although he raised an arm in the air, didn't connect with it. It's run out towards this near side for Tottenham to try and swing the ball in now with Conor Gallagher. By the corner flag, Richarlison's header is down. Oh, comes to the feet of Solanke. Ball ran away from him, and Roofs is able to make the save. But if not Richarlison's tame header, then the ball just got away from Dominic Solanke. Slightly smarter touch. Not that he knew too much about it. He might have had a clear vision at goal.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for him. I actually think Richarlison's done quite well there. It's going backwards. He's never going to get power in it. So he puts it back into the danger area. But it's just gone too quick. Straight at Dominic Solanke's feet there. Couldn't get it under control. Just a moment before that, Roofs caught under the ball there. Bad mistake.
Sunderland are allowed to play on with heavy challenges going in. Now the foot race is on and it needs Pedro Porro to marshal this inside the 6-yard box. The referee deems there was no Sunderland advantage. Shows Christian Romero the yellow card. As the ball was played down the middle of the pitch, Romero slid in, took out a Sunderland player in the form of Brian Brobby. Play carried on with Mukiele chipping it forward. But it's the sliding challenge of Romero cleaning out Brobby that has given this free kick to Sunderland with no advantage in the first yellow card of the afternoon.
Yeah, you do want your players to be committed, and certainly Romero was committed there. But he's coming in from behind. There's no doubt the referee has to give a free kick, and almost certainly a yellow card for that. He's tried to keep his cards in his pocket, the referee, but I don't think he's got an option there. And now your centre-half's walking the tightrope.
Yeah, no surprise perhaps. That's his 11th yellow card of the Premier League season for Pedro Porro, who played for Spain during the international break, their 0-0 draw with Egypt. So free kick to Sunderland, midway inside the Spurs half, ever so slightly right of centre. Lefay, that's a better ball in. Header at the back post, missed almost completely by Mukiele. He needed power and a redirection on that. It goes behind for a goal kick. He glanced it at best.
Oh, that is the best chance of the game. I mean, we've got another look at it here from the angle. Probably onside. It wasn't much. His head was offside. No, he actually has come from behind there. That's a big miss. You've got to be able to get that on target. He's not even having to go very high. I was looking for an excuse. Maybe there's someone in his eyes, but no, there's someone coming from a different direction. That is a big miss.
Good record against Tottenham as Nordi Mukiele the draw in the reverse, but also beat Tottenham twice when he was at RB Leipzig in Germany, but couldn't help his Sunderland side there with that header. Ball runs on through to Richarlison, left-hand side. It is a leg that sticks out and makes the challenge smartly for Sunderland to prevent Tottenham looking infield, but then they give it away, they overplay it. And then Bergvall, well, I know we've been to the rugby a couple of times this afternoon, but he's grabbed the legs of the Sunderland player and taken him down. That'll be a free kick and an easy decision for the referee to make, 0-0.
It's a real shame there, because good positions again, and watching Richarlison on the left-hand side there, he's getting the ball in good positions, he's working really hard, but he doesn't seem to have the power in his legs today. That's about the third time he's tried to play a ball and he just hasn't had the power to play it. Very unusual thing to happen to a top player.
Richarlison looking for his 10th Premier League goal of the season, would become only the second Brazilian to score 10 or more goals in a Premier League season for 5 seasons. Alberto Firmino, the only other man to do it, of a Brazilian nature in the Premier League from his days at Liverpool. Lovely ball in field from the right-hand touchline, finds Enzo Lefebvre, bypasses Diarra, and then is stroked out towards this near side. Just bounces up in front of Noah Siddiqui, so he has to take a steadying touch, perhaps forces him to go backwards rather than looking forward in the time. It just allowed Tottenham to readjust. Here's Alderete emerging from the centre circle, pokes a right arm out and then looks to his right hand side before switching play to his left. A trio of Sunderland substitutes emerged from the bench to go for their warm-ups as Lefebvre in front of them, near side the left. Plays it back towards Siddiqui. This is Diarra looking to get the ball in the box, but he goes low in the end towards Granit Xhaka, tries to run it on through. Tottenham get the clearance for now, but it's a Sunderland throw 10 yards from the byline with, 15 minutes left of this first half, 0-0.
Just before the claim for the penalty kick, Sunderland were really beginning to take over. A little bit of a lift from Spurs after that, but the comfort in the ball for Sunderland is just so much better than Spurs have got. They don't look that comfortable when they get in the final third. There's not a real belief. A lot of that's got to do with Granit Xhaka, who controls games, and he's doing it today very well.
That's exactly what he was brought in for, and that's exactly what he does. Now Luke O'Nien rubs the ball under his shirt, backs towards the advertising hoardings, and then launches the ball into the 6-yard box. It's a header that flicks away for Tottenham, but then Xhaka meets it and fires it just wide of the base of the left-hand post. He was running onto it. He hit it cleanly enough, just without that absolute perfection of direction, and it's still 0-0. Goal kick.
Yeah, but the chances are coming now. Brobbey had the one just before with his head as well. This one, if it touches anyone at all, deflecting, keeper's not getting near it, and if it's just half an inch the other way, that's going in the corner. Goalkeeper's not within 6 feet of it. Right now, it's getting a lot more dangerous for Spurs. The Spurs fans will not want to hear that.
Scored on his last home appearance against a Tottenham side, did Granit Xhaka. That was all the way back in 2022, a 3-1 win for Arsenal that day. Here's Alderete inside his own half. Sunderland, who actually started the shakier of the two sides, have really grown into this game here on 5 Live, and now it's a battle between Porro and Brobbey. Brobbey's left an elbow out there. Referee will give Tottenham a free kick, and I just wonder whether VAR here might look at this as a little bit more aggression from Brian Brobbey than was necessary. They were holding each other, they were grabbing each other on the touchline left-hand side, but did Brobbey raise an arm, Pat Nevin?
Well, he certainly used his body. He's a big, strong man, very strong, and he might have got, I think he has got something in the face, and whether it's deliberate or not, the referee's got his card in his hand to give it to Brobbey, and Brobbey's complaining. I think secretly maybe a little bit relieved about that, because he's holding the player off, he's holding off. Nah, not a red card from me.
Elbow does meet face.
Yeah,
Brobbey's backing into Pedro Porro, and I think soon as once it's that wrestling match, tuggling and tussling, soon as Porro feels the contact, he's gone down.
Again, I think he gets hit by it, but is it a deliberate throwing your elbow back in that sort of angle where you're deliberately trying to injure a player like that? I don't think it's that bad. I think the referee's got that spot on there. Yellow card for being, a little bit over strong, but it's no more than that.
So 0-0 here, Sunderland, Tottenham, 5 Live Sport. It is Nottingham Forest 0, Aston Villa 1. You can hear that over on Sports Extra right now. Crystal Palace 0, Newcastle United 0 over on Sports Extra 2 from 4:30. We talk about this being a big game at the bottom where Tottenham are concerned. A big game at the top of the table with Arsenal losing yesterday. Manchester City go to Chelsea, who've got their own top 4, top 5 ambitions. Stamford Bridge, our venue for Chelsea against Manchester City from 4:30. Tottenham at walking pace, edge of their own penalty area, play it back to Antonin Kinski. Their goalkeeper all in blue. Short sleeves on for the goalkeeper in the sunshine of the northeast this afternoon. And it's played down the middle well, actually, towards Lucas Bergvall. Sunderland have the body back. Lefay is sliding in, could go anywhere. It's brought down again by Bergvall. The ball runs into the path of Conor Gallagher. Will be off to the City ground again in just a moment. Lifted up and on the chest of Udogie, left hand side. Richarlison peels away towards the towards the touchline to be that support, sends the ball in. Bergvall couldn't get the dangerous touch on, and then I think Mukiele has managed to sort that out for himself. Here is Jacques, a little touch in field, smartly done, casually done, calmly done by the Swiss midfielder of Sunderland, and they've just given themselves a breather, which gives us a chance to go to the City ground. Forest Villa with Rob Law.
35 minutes in, still Nottingham Forest 0, Aston Villa 1. Villa really starting to play with confidence now after scoring the opener. They are pushing for a second, but it remains Forest 0, Villa 1.
That game available on Sports Extra. Tottenham with 3 forward here. Sunderland backtracking with 4 defenders back for them as Solanke, not at full pace, gets the shot away, right hand side of the penalty area. Double block in there. Alderete and Reynildo throwing their bodies at it to prevent Solanke's shot being a problem. Taken off the thigh of Noah Siddiqui as he tried to get over the halfway line. If he'd got through that gap of Tottenham defenders, he'd have been clean through on goal. Let's go to Selhurst Park, Palace Newcastle United with Andy Stevenson.
And finally some goalmouth action to tell you about. A brilliant double save from the Newcastle keeper Aaron Ramsdale, parrying away a Jeremy Pino shot and then brilliantly getting up to save a rebound effort from Daniel Munoz. It's the only chance we've had from either side. Crystal Palace 0, Newcastle 0.
We've had the Premier League Match Centre update on that penalty that was turned down on Randall Kolo Muani. The referee announcement that we couldn't hear at the back of this main stand at Sunderland. A great view of the pitch, all in vision, miles away from the dugouts in the action, but it is a really good view as Udogie crosses in from the left hand side. Kolo Muani's header sideways towards the penalty area, can't find Solanke. Sunderland inside the D are able to get it clear with Brian Brobby, who with one touch is able to flick it out towards the right hand side. I'll give you that match announcement in a moment, because here is Brobby stumbling and gets the knock from Mickey van der Ven, and the referee has deemed that is a foul in Sunderland's favour and a yellow card to the Tottenham centre-back. So that's both centre-backs on a booking now. Brobby had the strength and he used it well there, Pat.
It's one of those ones where, again...
Luke O'Nine's involved in the conversation. So quickly, that Premier League match announcement from the referee was after review. After review, Alderete plays the ball first before any... any subsequent contact. Final decision is drop ball to the goal. goalkeeper and no penalty. Pat Nevin will agree with that assessment.
Yeah, completely, absolutely. Absolutely, he's right, because he goes towards the contact. If you're the forward and then you kick his foot. You're not getting a penalty ball, you shouldn't be getting. I've seen them give him though.
So it's 2 over this free kick for Sunderland. Enzo Lefebvre. And Granit Xhaka, the two that if they are going for goal.
It's got to be Xhaka, surely. He's got to have a dig. Got to have a dig.
He's just hit one from there, just wide, hasn't he, a moment ago. Go in open play, admittedly. Brian Brobby. Has come over, as has Habib Diarra. They've had a right meeting about this Sunderland. Players coming and going. But it's Xhaka who set it down. Enzo Lefebvre is a yard in front of the ball with his back to Xhaka and his back to the ball here. So quite what Sunderland. Quite what Sunderland have got worked out. Tottenham have got 5 in a line. A line, no draft excluder. Kinski's at his near. His near post. There is a hole left-hand side of the goal for. For Xhaka to aim for if he wants to swipe it across. Cross, although Kinski has now moved back into a more central position. One last chat between Xhaka . Xhaka and Lefay. Kinski goes to just double check that wall is okay and happy now. Now there is a draft excluder placed down behind that. Five-man wall of Tottenham in their crisp lemon yellow. In yellow shirts, but it is Xhaka the sole man over this. Over this ball for Sunderland, a big moment in the game with little over 5 minutes to half time. It's Granit Xhaka over the wall, over the bar, and after all that build up, after all those meetings, it is behind for a goal kick, and there's a second goal at the City ground. Which way, Rob Law?
What a goal this could be. Nottingham Forest won, Aston Villa won. The City ground rising to its feet because they're back in this game. Hudson-Odoi wide on the left, prodded the ball into the path of Nico Williams, who let rip from distance, fired it low into the back of the net. We're all level. Forest 1, Villa 1.
Forest win this at home in their last 7, but that just opens up the gap to Spurs again to 2 points once more. Between them, West Ham a point above Tottenham as it is, because Tottenham are drawing here at the Stadium of Light 0-0 with Sunderland. We'll go to the rugby again in a minute, but Xhaka has it inside the centre circle. Things have just calmed down here. So to Wakefield we go. They're taking on Wigan in the Challenge Cup quarter-final. Chris Cooper.
Wigan back in front, 26-22 with just over 10 minutes to go. The defensive line was broken. Adam Kieran found Zach Eckersley. He got his second try of the afternoon. Kieran couldn't add the extras. 4 points in it at the moment. Nip and tuck. Wakefield 22, Wigan 26.
Thanks very much, Chris. You can watch that on BBC One right now. Reminder, Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa on Sports Extra, Palace, Newcastle over on Sports Extra 2. Here's Ray Nildo, left back position, although advanced into the Tottenham half for the Sunderland defender. Siddiqui gets the turn well, got the better of his body against Poro. Lefebvre with a low curling ball, can't find Brobby, and now it's Tottenham's turn to emerge over the halfway line. Richarlison being marked step for step by Habib Diarra, filling in defensive role, but it's Richarlison who gets around him on the left-hand side, gets his way in the penalty area. More body muscle needed. And his final touch is just to pass it into the side netting and behind for a Sunderland goal kick, and he slams the palm of his hand down on the floor in frustration. He got the better of his man one. Good recovery from Diarra on the second time, and enough to put the Brazilian off.
Yeah, I mean, he's worked so hard there, Richarlison. You know, you always knew he was going to get caught in the first time he had the ball. He's running about 30-40 yards. But he does a little trick, gets away again. But you know he's going to get caught again. Because, you know, in the Premier League at the top level, every single defender is lightning quick, and he got caught again, and he ran out of legs again there. And it's, I think a part of it is Richarlison just gives everything for every moment of every game, and sometimes just looks a little bit weak when it comes to the last moments.
He's a hard-working character with 9 Premier League goals to his name this season. At Brighton during his time there, Roberto De Zerbi says he likes his number 9s to be smart and intelligent, know when to play and attack space and open space up, and certainly Richarlison did all 3 of those in that last attack, bar the necessary finish. And as Sunderland come forward, Tottenham clear it away over into the Sunderland half. No real pace from Kolo Muani just yet, but then as he tries to play the ball one way and run round the outside of Omar Alderete, little shoulder barge from Sunderland's Paraguayan defender is enough to take Kolo Muani down to the ground. Fairly so, though.
It's a wee bit desperate, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, he's, as a defender, what do? Disappear? Beam us up, Scotty. There's nothing you can do there. Maybe a little bit of an arm raise as he goes past there, but once again, the referee, he's seen through most of these. There's been a few dives in the game, a few efforts again on the referee. No, he's just ignoring it. Carry on with the game.
Roberto De Zerbi with a hairline that is going ever so slightly backwards. Gilet on. Warm day inside the stadium, and like the wind chill outside the stadium is really taking the temperature down. Little patches of damp across the tarmac that kind of runs around the pink tarmac that runs around the Stadium of Light, between the dugouts and the turf all around this iconic stadium, this atmospheric stadium that has just settled down. It started so lively end to end this game. The middle part of this first half has died down a little bit. Both teams now applying an element of caution to their fearful attacks early on. 2 minutes to go, 0-0.
Well, there was a desperation at the start from Spurs to do well, wasn't there? They were going at full pace, 100 miles an hour, as much as they possibly could. A, you can't keep that going for an entire game, and B, that belief is gone, and the manager, De Zerbi, is going to have to lift them again at the start of the second half.
Oh, Xhaka's just played that down the line to his own teammate. He's run out for a corner, Tottenham corner as well on this near side. Deadlock here at 0-0, but the deadlock's been broken at Selhurst Park. Andy Stevenson.
Newcastle have taken the lead, having done very little in this first half, but it's Will Asula making his second Premier League start for the Magpies, who's put them ahead. A ball came across, the ball went under the foot of Max Lacroix, the Crystal Palace centre-back, and Asula did really well to adjust his feet and knock it home from about 2 yards. It's Crystal Palace 0, Newcastle 1.
Crystal Palace have won just one of the 9 games following a Conference League match this season, and that record might be getting a little worse for Oliver Glasner's side. Tottenham corner then towards the end of this first half. We're almost into the final minute of the 45. Pedro Porro raises a left arm in the air, right-footed, out-swinging delivery. It's not a bad one, but it's a Sunderland head from Alderete that clears the penalty area for now. Conor Gallagher will flick it back out to Porro, the corner taker in open play this time. His cross deflects and is sent onwards by Solanke, but past everybody in a yellow shirt, and that means it'll be a goal kick to Sunderland.
He's going for the kind of half overhead kick, wasn't it, when his ball comes behind him there, trying to scissors it. I've seen him do it before, but if you're getting a player trying to do that in yellow today for Spurs, you'd want that to be Richarlison, wouldn't you? He's a player who can pick that one up now and again, but not really a half chance, even just a quarter chance, and he couldn't get it on target. Solanke. You just wonder, he's got big questions, hasn't he, for this second half? Is a draw good enough? Does he do something different? Does he add a little bit more creativity in that attacking area? Because they have looked very limited in regards to creativity, and that's what we were talking about in the studio before the game.
He has got, if he wants a little bit more width, Xavi Simons on the bench. João Pelé